Hi friends, it's Becky, and today I am going to make a necklace and maybe some earrings with you tonight. Normally on a Wednesday night I would be at Axe Throwing League, but we're between seasons right now, so I am gonna just spend some time doing this. I got done with work and I watched a little tutorial that Nile did with some of his silver silk, and I made this when I was done with work. It's really, really easy. I'll put a link to his little tutorial that he did that I just finished watching if you want to watch it too. But then I was like, you know what? I would like to actually make some things with that Tree of Life Softflex kit. It was a kit that they put together for TGBE, and I had opened it up and I'd been very excited about it, but I hadn't actually made anything with it yet. So that's what I'm going to do with y'all tonight. I pulled out some of the beads that I want to use and some of the little components, and we'll just put this together. We'll do some stringing, we'll put our beads together in a specific order, and we will use this gorgeous, gorgeous Green Girl Studios pendant that came in that kit. It says, "Bathe in all the tides of nature, in all her streams and oceans of all seasons." It's by Henry David Thoreau. So we'll make ourselves a little necklace. I'm going to use the fluorite beading wire that came with the thing, and we'll just get this strung on there. I grabbed these little leaf charms and some ear wires, and set aside a couple of these beads, and we'll go ahead and get them made into some earrings later. I pulled off a couple of things of 20 gauge wire. It came with 18 gauge, this kit, but I don't think these beads will fit on 18 gauge wire, so I'm just using 20 gauge because we're doing easy tonight. We are doing easy stuff. So I think I want to use these little beads. I don't know if I want to use these as spacers or not. They're just these check glass flower beads, the little daisies. I might use them, I might not. But I don't think. I think I want my leaves to point downward. And I know I definitely want to use these green table cut beads because I think they are beautiful in here. And I'm just laying out the beads in the order that I want. It'll make it easier when it's time to start stringing stuff. But yeah, it's been a really long day at work. Work has been super worky, so it's really nice to spend some time doing something simple and enjoyable and creative with this. And so it was so wonderful to have the tutorial available like right when I got done with work, so I could just pop that on and make my stuff. And I think that might be enough beads. I'm going to set these aside for now, and if I need to pull some more out, I can do that. But otherwise, these green and brown ones together might be great for a bracelet to go with this. So let's put a jump ring on our pendant, and then we'll start stringing. And for my tools that I'm using, I've got some chain nose pliers. Any kind of pliers will work. For crimping my beading wire, I've got some crimp tubes that came in the kit, and my magical crimper. It's my favorite. But obviously, you can use whatever is easiest for you because we are doing easy things this week. So I'm just opening up this jump ring, putting the pendant on, and then closing that up. Make sure it's good and closed. There we go. All right, and I'm gonna do half of it and then the other half afterwards. That way I'll know if it's gonna be long enough or if I need to add to it or something like that. All right, and I'm using these kind of metal beads that came in this kit, or was it in the bead mix? I can't remember if it was the kit or the bead mix. But these green table cut check glass beads are just beautiful. I love the shiny sides and I love the matte sides. And then there are these twisted nugget beads that look like root beer. That's what color they are to me. They are root beer colored. I'm just gonna get these guys on here and we're gonna figure out if I need to add more beads or if this is gonna be enough for the other side. And then we can attach our closures and we can have ourselves an easy necklace. Because you know what? One of the entire reasons that Henry David Thoreau went, I don't know how to pronounce it, went to Walden Woods and lived in a pond was because he wanted to live simply. He wanted to have things be simple. And they were probably especially simple and easy for him because his sister would come and bring him food and clean his house for him. So, like, it was even easier for him to write his stuff. And, yeah. So that might not be long enough, and I don't think it is. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start layering in some of these brown beads, and I want to make sure I have enough for both sides. So I've got 2 over there, 2 over here. So 1. Looks like I've got an extra. Those, I could have that be in a bracelet maybe. That would be nice. Two, three, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. That'll be about half and halves. You know, this part might be the part where adding some of those rondelles as spacers might be good. We'll see though. We'll see if I want to add those to it or not. Those did not come in the kit, but they did come from Softflex. I did buy them from there. Okay, just a few more. Okay. One more, and I'm just going to put the rest of these up here. Now I'm going to string the other side. I'm just putting a little bead stopper on here so that if I swing this around, it's not going to send my beads flying. I don't know if that's happened to y'all before, but it's definitely happened to me. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this about there. So there's enough wire for stringing and for crimping. Yeah. I think I picked a really good week for me to like have a relaxing bead break this week because there's just lots going on. Work-wise, it's very busy. My brain is engaged quite a lot, solving problems, fixing things, making things work. So it's nice to sit down and do creative things instead of technical things, and that's what this is doing for me. What kind of things do you guys do when you need to have a little break from working hard or from thinking about things too much? I'm sure a lot of you like to do beading like I do, but are there other things that you like to do when you need to unwind? Like, I don't know, I also knit when I need to unwind and just kind of let go for a little bit. Sometimes I do painting to unwind. Sometimes my painting is different from the watercolors that you guys see me do. Sometimes I do paint by numbers instead of painting, and it's kind of a little bit for the same reason that I like doing kits sometimes, because if I do paint by numbers, I could still make something pretty, but I don't have to expend a lot of brain power coming up with something pretty or thinking about how I want to paint it. It's already been planned out. It's already been made, and all I have to do is fill in the little numbers and the little dots with the color, and then at the end of it I've got a painting. And it's just something that I enjoy doing. Sometimes I haven't done it for a little while. Another thing I like doing is embroidery. I really like doing that too. It's pretty fun. But yeah, I really like doing beading and making pretty things like this. It scratches a little itch for me of being creative and making things. And yeah. And I'm really glad that I'm getting a chance to do this tonight, especially since I wanted to make something with that kit and I just had not gotten around to it. I was so busy with so many other things this last month. I had other things getting in the way. And it just seemed like I just wasn't going to catch a break and be able to get to everything that I wanted to get to. And there's still some things that I have not been able to get to that I want to get to, but we're going to see if we can fit those in this week, especially since I am not going to be doing complicated things. I'm going to be doing easy things. And so some of those things that I wanted to get to are going to be easy. We're not going to make things more complicated than they need to be. All right. I am just matching these up over here on this end to make sure that they are the same length. Now I've got some extra green beads over there. Let me grab my crimp, my lobster clasp, and I'm going to keep the other end even simpler. I'm just going to make a loop with the wire that my lobster clasp can grab onto, because it'll be even easier than trying to find a ring to attach it to or something like that. So I'm going to just stick my crimp tube on here, put my wire through my lobster clasp, bend it back, and put that through my crimp tube. And now that I've got myself a little loop, I will use my magical crimper. It's my favorite. It works best on this medium-sized wire. But you want to center it right there in that concavity, both sides. Give it a little smush, and then you let go of it and smush it from a different angle. And then smush it from a different angle. And you just rotate it and keep going around until you have smushed it on all the sides. And it makes you a nice little crimp bead that's smooth to the touch, that doesn't need to be covered with a crimp cover. And do these? Yes, they do. All right. Just gonna scooch these on up over here so that I don't have to cut my wire. They all fit over that bit of wire. Sometimes the holes on beads don't allow 2 passes of this wire. Sometimes they do. All right, scooch. There we go. And I don't want this to be too stiff, so I'm going to bend my necklace when I do my other loop so that it flows a little bit better. Right. So like I said before, I'm just going to make a loop with this wire. This wire is pretty sturdy wire. It doesn't need a wire guardian or anything like that, and it'll hold up really well still to having the lobster clasp just loop right onto that. When I do that, it's just really good wire for that, for jewelry making. So let's get that loop on there. I'm gonna put 4 of these beads on, I think, and then we'll scooch this down. All right. Now, scooching these beads a little bit further away from where my loop is, and this is a fairly large loop, but that'll just make it easier when I go to put it on. But what you want to make sure is that you've got a little bit of space, just a little bit of space between your last bead and the crimp tube. If there wasn't enough space there, I would stick my little fingernail in there and just wiggle it just to give it that much space. So that way there is room to get that crimp tube centered in your crimper. So if you try to crimp it right next to that bead, you're gonna have a bad time. And I'm just rotating it. Like, you squeeze it and then let it go and then rotate it. And that way it gets smooshed all the way around. Now I can cut off my excess wire, and look at that. I have a necklace. It's quick, it was easy, simple, and I think simple fits the theme with Thoreau, doesn't it? I wish I had a sister who would make me food and clean up after me. That would be nice. Let's make some earrings. All right, 4 earrings. I'm just gonna do simple loops with these guys. So let's do one end. Again, this is 20 gauge wire. Just curving that around my round nose pliers until it touches the other side. And then I'm gonna rotate this down till this lower part is just below where it touches, and give it a little bit of a squeeze just to change the direction that it is lying, so it's more centered, like a lollipop, rather than what's something that a lollipop rather than a lamp post. There we go. And I'm just gonna put one of these brown beads on, one of these green beads, and one of these brown beads. And then I'm going to make another loop here at the top. And I think I want this loop to be perpendicular to this one. So if I can see the face of this loop while I'm looking at it, then I'm going to want to bend my wire away from me, like that. I'm going to cut off all but 1 centimeter of this wire. And now I can use my round nose pliers to roll this up. And the reason I bend it before I do this is because that will help this loop be centered over there. And I'm just going to double check that my loops are perpendicular. I'm holding this one. Also give me a chance to straighten out my wire a little bit. And then I'm holding this loop. And if my pliers make a cross, then they're perpendicular, and that's exactly what I wanted. If I wanted them to be parallel, I'd rotate them so that they were like that, because you can always rotate your loops after you make them. All right, now I'm going to open this up, put my leaf charm on, close it, and that's why I wanted to do simple loops, because it just makes assembling this a little bit easier than having to do wrapped loops and that sort of thing. And then these are just some ear wires that came in the kit. Usually these ear wires, my ears are weird, like the holes are at an angle or something. So usually they'll like slide out, but I've got some rubber backs that I can wear these with. So I will be wearing these with rubber backs, and I'll keep them from sliding out. Again, making things simple for me. So I've got that on there, and I'm just going to close that part up so it doesn't come off of there. Whoop. So there's earring number 1. And you know what? Since this was such a quick design to do, let's make the second one together. Just bending back my first loop. See, it's like a lamp post. And then when I bend it back, it's like a lollipop. Just going to give this a little bit of a tamp to close it up, number 1, and 2, when I squish it like this in my pliers, it work hardens the loop and makes it more secure. It's just pressure helps condense softer wire like this so that they're, you know, the molecules hold on to each other a little bit more. And that's what work hardening does. One of the reasons why you might not want your wire to be hard to begin with, or you don't want to work harden it before you form it, is because after you condense the little molecules in the metal together, it makes the metal a little more brittle. It's easier to break it. It's another reason you want to avoid bending your wire too much, is because the repeated bends weaken the wire at the point where the bend happens. All right, so here we've got it. I've got the circle facing me, so I'm going to bend this wire back over the top, away from me. That way my second loop, when I form it, will be perpendicular. All right, all but 1 centimeter, and you can see actually that does actually measure 1 centimeter on there. It's just one of those things where I figured out that that part of my finger, if I'm holding a bead and I cut right there, that's 1 centimeter. I measured every single thing that I made simple loops with for the first 2 years that I was doing jewelry making. I measured it with a ruler, and it took me that long to figure out what part of my finger my 1 centimeter was. But now I don't need to measure it because I already know how long that is. Kind of like I know that this part of my finger is about 1 inch, you know? It's not an exact measurement, but it's about 1 inch. So if I'm just guesstimating things, I can be like, oh, that's about 1 inch, and just use my knuckle as my measurement. Okay, let's get our leaf on. And attach an ear wire, close this up, and there we go. We have some simple designs using the Softflex Tree of Life kit, and they did more designs during their TGBE presentation. There were other designs that people had made during and after TGBE for this, but I finally got around to making what I wanted to with this. And I love how it goes from like the big beads to graduated to the small beads. That really makes me happy. It makes my eyeballs happy to look at. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, relaxing evening and a wonderful, easy week. And I will talk with you later. Bye.